Okay, good morning. I'm Chairman Tom Farese from the Corporation Commission, and thrilled that you're with us this morning. For 8 a.m., this is a fantastic crowd. I want to welcome you to this portion of our process for the rate case for Johnson Utility, and this is a chance for us to listen to you. This is a unique setting, so I wanted to explain how this works and how we can all make the most of this. We've turned this into a quasi-courtroom. We have a court reporter here today who will be noting all of the comments that you make. So when you come to the podium, please introduce yourself, tell us your address, and please speak clearly and slowly so that she can hear and make sure that she gets everything recorded. We have limitations on what we can do in this process. To a large extent, we cannot respond. We cannot show prejudgment for the ruling of the eventual case that will come before us at the Corporation Commission. But I do want to make note of how powerful this process is and this moment is. This is my 4th year at the Corporation Commission, and I have seen time and time again the report from the individual have a significant impact in the outcome of what happens. And so we're here to listen. Tell us what we don't know. Help us to understand the details. And if someone has said something that you were going to say, then come up and lend your support to those comments. See if there is something to add to it. And let's get as much out of these 2 hours as we possibly can. I want to turn the time over to the other commissioners, but before I do, we have a number of dignitaries that I just want to point out. In the back, we have Supervisors Goodman and Supervisors House with us. Thank you for being with us. We have Penny Pugh from Congressman Gosar's office. Very good to have her with us. And we have a representative from ADEQ here as well. 3. Thank you for being here. That's here to listen as well. I'll turn the time over to my fellow commissioners, and then we'll get going.
Yeah. Thank you as well, and good morning to you. I appreciate you all coming out and being part of this process this morning. Like the chairman mentioned, we're certainly here to listen, and having a group of this size is really very helpful. And so we're very interested in your content. I think the only thing I would share, if you have someone who has something that says something similar to what you were speaking of, don't feel like you shouldn't be able to add to it. You can just more briefly do it. But if we're hearing the same story from a lot of folks, that is helping us. So anyway, so thanks for being here. I appreciate it very much.
Good morning, and also I would like to thank you all for being here. I think the process has been fully covered, and so I won't really add any more. I'll just look forward to hearing what you all have to say. Thank you very much.
And Supervisor Goodman, did you want to kick us off this morning with some comments? Very good. Let's pause for a moment. Forgive me. Let's start with actually a pledge and a prayer. While you're up, Supervisor, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Commissioner Tobin, would you lead us in a prayer?
You bow your heads. And dear Lord, thank you for bringing us together today. Thank you for allowing us to have this open and free opportunity in a nation of freedom. We offer up our prayers today for those, especially in Florida, who are grieving, and for those who are around the country defending our freedom, and their families for sacrificing that time. And we hope you'll add and watch over them and bless them as well. And in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner Tobin. Supervisor Goodman.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner, Mr. Chairman, and other members of the commission. Appreciate the opportunity that you afforded our community to be able to come forward and express their feelings and concerns. I also would give appreciation to the other dignitaries, which you've already done, my fellow supervisor, Supervisor House, and also our chairman of our board, as well as a representative from Mr. Gosard's office, as well as the ADEQ, and especially our citizens. Thank you for being here and being a part of this process. Before I begin, I'd like to speak briefly about what I've observed since coming into office this last year. First, I've seen firsthand the issues that present themselves when a private company provides a public service. Our community is subjected to a monopoly. Do not have a choice, and the marketplace is not able to influence a service provider in the way that it should. The consumer has very little control over his or her utility provider. I've also recognized that this is not unique to our area. There are other communities in the state and also in our county that experience similar issues and frustrations. This net method needs to be restructured, I believe. Second, I have observed that there are different governing agencies, each with varying abilities in how they can regulate and ensure quality of service. I feel we do not have enough coordination between governing entities, and action isn't taken as quickly as it should be. Third is trust. These proceedings throughout the day and the rate case to follow are steps in the right direction to begin to reestablish the trust between our residents and governing agencies and hopefully in our utility company. To repair these relationships and enhancing our operations, or the operations, I personally feel that we need to make these improvements immediately. Almost a year ago, I stood before this commission requesting that action be taken. And here we are a year later, and still the frustrations persist. To close, I'd like to request that all of us be respectful and considerate. I'd also like to acknowledge Johnson Utilities here are present, and they've also told me that they would be at all 6 hearings. And I appreciate them for being here and listening to the public as they express themselves. So with that being said, please see that all are given the proper opportunity to express themselves. We understand your passion around this topic, but we want our time to be productive and meaningful. Please treat these proceedings like a court of law, which you've already stated, and I appreciate that. We also have our law enforcement here, and just so that the public knows, whenever my brothers and sisters would become unruly in church or whatever, my parents would say, "Don't make me come over there." And so we have our law enforcement here to help assist you. Hopefully they don't have to drag you out by your ear like we normally would be, but nonetheless they're here.
You talking to them or us?
Whoever it applies to,
Okay.
Mr. Commissioner. We appreciate all that you're doing, and we look forward to as we proceed forward in these proceedings, and thank you for your time.
Okay, so our rules of engagement here, if you have not filled out one of these pieces of paper and you wish to speak, please go over to the corner here and fill this piece of paper out. This is how I will be calling on the speakers to come speak before us. We'll give 3 minutes per speaker, and just in terms of the signal, when you're down to your last 30 seconds, I'll give you a 3, and then I'll just put the finger up when you're down to your last minute. It's our objective to try to give everybody a chance to speak today that wishes to speak. We'll first hear from Greg and Maridale Vare. Mr. and Mrs. Vare. And on deck we have Nick Myers. Ms. Vare.
Thank you. My name is Maridale Vare, and I live at 36302 North Murray Gray Drive in Circle Cross Ranch. I'm a winter visitor, so maybe I don't qualify as much as the other people do. My biggest concern is the fact that when I'm not here in the summertime, my water bill increases twice the size of when we're here in the wintertime. We don't have any water running in the house, and every time I call Johnson Utilities to complain about it, they tell me either have a water leak, somebody's stealing my water, or just incidents. One month we used 18,000 gallons of water. Now, that was in the summertime. So the other thing is to say, well, do you know what summer is like in Arizona? Well, yes, I do. I lived here for 30 years before I moved to Missouri for my vacation, Anyhow, if we used 18,000 gallons of water in 1 month, I think the Circle Cross Ranch would be floating away. We only have a small little lawn in the front, maybe 10 by 10, and in the back I think it's 15 by 30. And so we had our meter changed. We've had all this done. So I think there's a counting that needs to be done by Johnson Utilities in how they do their bills. Before I complain to them, and yes, I complained to the commission before, and I've complained to Johnson Utilities in writing, and Bob Ducey, or whatever his name is, it's on Channel 15. They never billed us for the amount of water we actually used. They billed us like 18,000 gallons, 13,000 gallons, 10,000 gallons. It was never the actual amount. Since I complained to the commission and since I complained to Johnson Utilities, we now get our water bill listed as like 7,322 gallons versus the amount. Now, I don't know if at the end of the year they take a month and they adjust, round up the numbers or round down the numbers, or how they do it. But I think there should be some accountability with how they deal with their customers, especially like winter visitors, and how they deal with, that's just my thought. I mean, can't say anything else. I can't possibly know, gentlemen, how I could use 18,000 gallons of water when I'm not even there. I don't use that much in the wintertime, and we, do the laundry, run the dishwasher, take showers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But in the summertime, come May, as soon as I leave to go back to Missouri, my water bill will increase twice, twice the amount. That's all really I've got to say. So there's some accountability. That's all that I ask for.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
We next will hear from Nick Myers, and we have Thomas Ellen on deck. Mr. Myers.
Hello, everybody. I'm Nick Myers, and I live at 2362 West Bonnie Lane in Queen Creek, Arizona, which is Santan Valley, 85142. I've been a resident in the Johnson Utilities CC&N area for about 7 years. After being strung over a barrel by them for 2 years, I finally decided that what we need to do is stand up and fight for our rights as ratepayers. When they closed the standpipe our entire community relies on for water, I single-handedly brought a complaint to the ACC and won the case, resulting in the reopening of the standpipe. All of that for something that cost them, by my estimate, maybe $3,000. Clearly, their objective isn't money, it's sticking it to those of us who dare to complain. Think about it, lawsuits brought against Emily Hughes, Bambi Sanquest, etc. Now they want a rate hike. Well, if they have so much money and resources that they can fight court cases just to teach us a lesson, then clearly they don't need more money. Consider this. In docket item WS 02987A-16-0275, where Amy Simpson merely requests that they live up to their promise and provide coverage equally to all of our areas, not just a select few, the ACC judge admits, and this is important that it's a commission judge, admits that in his recommended order and opinion that Johnson Utilities discriminated against Amy, and yet he recommends dismissing the case. How can this be? This is unbelievable, and I find it preposterous that the ACC, the very organization entrusted to regulate public service companies, should pancake like a mouse before Johnson Utilities, the very company it's supposed to be a watchdog for. Johnson's actions are clearly in violation of ARS 40-334 Part A, which states, and I quote, "A public service corporation shall not, as to rates, charges, service, facilities, or any other respect, make or grant any preference or advantage to any person or subject any person to any prejudice or disadvantage." And the company, by its own admission, spent approximately $1 million to install the discriminatory main lines. If that doesn't rise to a level of sufficient discrimination, what does? If the commissioners uphold the recommended order and opinion, then it seems to me that the ACC isn't interested in fulfilling its primary mission of protecting taxpayers, and the people ought to take the power back. All of these actions by the utility and the lack of fairness and transparency through the entire process from June of 2015 on with the Commission and with the Johnson Utilities were a key factor in my decision to run for State House of Representatives in the upcoming elections. As I'm the only anti-JU candidate with a proven track record who's fought and won against them, I implore everybody here, except the JU officials of course, to please support my candidacy with your prayers and donations if you can. And together, we'll restore fairness and justice to our community. I can be reached at www.nickmyers.us. That's www.nickmyers.us. Thank you very much.
And not to be too much of a party pooper, but there can't be any clapping and there can't be any booing. So remember, this is a court. Thomas Allen, followed by Randy and Sharon Johnson.
Close enough. My name is Tom Elin. It's pronounced badly all my life. But I'm at 1010 East Eagle Drive in Santan Valley, 85140. I'm a snowbird. I've been down here now 5 years. The first 3 years have been pretty nice. The last 2 years, not so much. Because the first 3 years we were here, Johnson Utilities used to be able to put our sewage on hold for the year, throughout the summer that we're not here. In 2016, they started charging for it. Granted, I'm aware of the law that passed about 6 years ago, illegally, I might add, because everyone knows that most of the commission at that time, unfortunately, was bribed to pass that law. Most of those people that were on the board at that time are no longer there, but the law still stands. The law was passed illegally. It should be rescinded. I'm sorry, but I hate to pay for something that I don't use. And I don't think there's anybody in this room that likes paying for something that they don't use. I've lived in a lot of different areas in this country. This is the first time I ever lived in a place where my water bill came from Queen Creek and my sewer bill comes from Johnson Utilities. In my past, your sewage is based on your water consumption. Johnson Utilities has no idea how much water we use. They're grabbing a number out of thin air, and that's what they figure they're going to charge you. And now they want to charge us during the summertime when we're not here. I can't even get a bill forwarded to me from Johnson Utilities. I haven't received a bill in the mail from them for almost a year. I have to call to get my billing. They said they put me on paperless billing. Well, we were down here the 28th of November. I called them in December. They sent me an email bill in December. I have not received one for January. I have not received one for February. And I never gave them the authorization to go on a paperless billing. We cannot get our bills forwarded to Minnesota, where I live, 7 months out of the year. Simply for the fact that I have 3 relatives that are in the Postal Service. Johnson Utilities has to sign a piece of paper stating that they will not have their bills forwarded. I get them from SRP, I get them from Queen Creek for my water bills, but I can't get one from Johnson Utilities. Why? To me, this is the most corrupt company I have ever run across. I finally got a credit through you guys with help from some of your delegates at the commission office for my 2016 bill. I got a $322 credit, but I'm still gonna have to pay now this next summer. This company should not even be around as far as I'm concerned. Give it to Queen Creek and let's get some honest people in there. And please do something, because we would like to see that you're above board and not like the people that you've taken the place of. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll next hear from Randy and Sharon Johnson, followed by Rick Gavanes. And I blanket apology for brutalizing everybody's last name. Please correct me if I say it wrong. Sharon.
I'm glad I have the name of Johnson. I am Sharon Johnson, and we live at Anthem, 6620 West Sandpiper Court in Anthem. And we are not subjected necessarily to the extreme smell, other than when we drive through the area on Hunt Highway. We have definitely noticed just a pungent sewage smell. And as far as I'm concerned, if I lived in that area and my house values would probably be strongly affected by this, I would not buy in that area. I'm not even going to look in that area. I mean, if you have to be subjected to that every day, that waste sewage smell, it's, it comes even through our car some days. And the other thing that I wanted to bring up was the extreme rate increase. I think we have only been here 3 years, but in the last 2 years, we as well have seen our water bills and our Johnson utility bills go terribly high. When we're not here also in the summer, we have cactus in our yard, so we don't have a lot of irrigation, and nobody lives in our house, but we have very high utility bills that we're paying for in Minnesota for here. And I just think that somebody should be looking at these kind of over 20% increases. I mean, that shouldn't be happening. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll next hear from Rick Vanes, who will be followed by Catherine LeBranch. How'd I do?
Oops, sorry. Thank you. My name is Rick Wongness. I live
I think the microphone went off. Could you help make sure?
Check.
Don't touch it, Rick.
Yeah, no kidding. Hi, my name is Rick Wongness, and I live at 154 West Latigo Circle, Santan Valley 85143, over here in Solera. And first of all, I thank you, gentlemen, for having this today. It's quite important for those of us that live here. I retired from Washington State. I've owned my home since 2009. I retired 3 years ago, and I love the state of Arizona. I've become an Arizonan, and it's wonderful. The thing I don't understand is everything that's gone on with Johnson Utilities that I keep hearing over and over again. And then this rate increase. I'm on a fixed income. I know there's a lot of people on fixed incomes. There's probably a lot of people that live from paycheck to paycheck out in Johnson Ranch and the whole area. To have an increase this size is amazing. If I ran a retail company, and if we raised our prices to our consumers 23%, I don't think we'd have any consumers coming through the door. And it's just a staggering increase. And the CRG bill, which is something I've asked about and been told it's for future water or something like that, and it's going to be going way down. But it's besides the water usage, because I'm also billed 16,000 gallons during the summertime, and then it slowly goes down. It was just 6,000 last month, which I don't understand that, but anyway. The increase is a big thing. Our Social Security isn't going to go up 23% ever. And the quality of the water, I think it needs to be turned over to a public utility instead of a private utility, or at least keep the rates the same, and Johnson Ranch be more transparent with their ratepayers on what the charges are for. And I guess when people ask for why my bill is this way or why my bill is that way, they aren't just told that they have a water leak or someone's stealing their water. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Catherine LaBranch. On deck, we have Renee Habig.
My name's Catherine LaBranch. I live at 28984 North Agave, 85143 in Santan Valley. My first question is, we have the old meters that you can't read. It's covered in a lot of rocks and all that. We try to read it, we cleaned it, and still can't read it. My biggest concern is, how can they say I use 33,000 gallons of water a month? I'm not watering the golf course, okay? That is ridiculous. My bills are $283 a month. Where I come from, I came out here 15 months ago. I retired from California. Now, California is a very high state with utilities because you have to buy it out. My water bill back there was $40 a month. I come out here and it's ridiculous. You know, and you call Johnson's Utilities, you get a machine, and they're gonna call you back. Well, nobody calls back. And that Phoenix fee, $130-something a month, they got the nerve to charge that. When I first moved into Johnson's Ranch, my bill was $60, but there was no water usage. My bill has gone up to $283. They vary from month to month. So I like to know, where am I using this water? I started with paper plates, paper forks, barbecuing, so I don't have to use that much water. I mean, it's ridiculous, and they want more money? Think about the citizens in the community. You know, how would they feel if everybody packed it up and left? They wouldn't be getting nothing. That man needs to take into consideration the people in the community, not for himself, because he wants more money. Who's going to give us more money? You know, if we don't pay the bill, we're shut off. I have an automatic payment every month that comes out of my account. I can't even plan what my bill's going to be, but I need them to come and show me, how do I use 33,000 gallons of water a month? I mean, I don't have the neighborhood in my home using up my water. I mean, it's the same story. You have a leak. We had a plumber. They came out. There's no leaks in that house at all. So they need to come and investigate this because they don't read the meters. How can somebody read a meter like this? If we can't, I know how to read a meter, you know? So if I can't read it, who's coming to my home? For 15 months, I never seen nobody come and remove that top and look down there. And why does other people have electronics? You know, is it because I rent? Is that why I get socket to it, or what? I know people that has pools, built-in pools, and their bill is $60 a month. Why am I being penalized? And I need them to come and prove this to me. If I'm guilty, I'll pay it, which I have paid it, I have no choice. But I need them to show me where I'm doing something wrong.
we put the photo in the record, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
And if you need this folder, you could have this folder with all the bills in it and the pictures.
Would you please, could we have somebody get that? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll next hear from Renee Habig, followed by Henry Ranch.
Good morning. My name is Renee Habig. I live at 27759 North Amira Way, Santan Valley, Arizona, 85143. We moved here in April, and we chose this area because it was a nice area, and we figured it'd be great for us to retire to and have our family come and visit and such. I don't know where you guys all live or whatever, but I would invite you to come over to my home, drink and shower with the quality of water that we are forced to use on a daily basis. The quality and the price at Johnson Utilities is appalling. We already overpay for the water that is substandard quality, in our belief. We come from the state of Wisconsin, where the water was a high priority, and we find it simply outrageous that Johnson Utilities is seeking a rate increase, and yet they refuse to deliver a safe and sanitary product. If I purchased a poor quality product from a store, I'm able to return that product. Unfortunately, I can't return the water. The only option I feel I may have is to sell my home and move back to Wisconsin, or someone that has a great interest in taking care of their water problems. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Henry Ranch, followed by Robin Brucker. I could be botching. Henry Rance, Henry Roush, thank you. I'm just calling these names, so if you wouldn't like to speak, thank you very much. We'll be sure to submit this. Thank you. Robin Brucker, followed by Bruce Brucker. Okay. Bravo. Connie Mays, followed by Antonio Labernella.
Good morning. My name's Connie Mays. I live at 205 East Desert Holly Drive in Santan Valley in Equestrian Manor. I've lived out here for 17 years. I purchased my home on an acre lot when I was 40 as a retirement home, and I am now retired. We have 2 adults living in our house. One is at work most of the time. We have had no changes in our water use. I just want to set the stage here. I do about 3 loads of laundry a week. I run our dishwasher 1 time a week, and all of our plants and grass are on irrigation and timers. We do have a built-in pool, and our water usage, as many have said before me, fluctuates enormously month to month. The lady that spoke previously spoke about her $200 and some odd water bills. We have had 2 occasions where our water use has went to 60,000 gallons. That's a water bill of almost $500. I filed my complaints with the ACC, no response. I visited Johnson Utilities many, many times to be told, pay the bill or we'll turn your water off. There's no dispute process at all. I contacted the CEO of Johnson Utilities, Mr. Cole. I explained to him my concern. He asked me to give him a couple days to investigate. There was no response. I contacted him again, explained my situation to him a second time. Again, he was going to investigate, no response. Channel 12 visited Santan Valley some time ago. I was interviewed by Channel 12. I again spoke about my concerns, $500 water bills, and Johnson Utilities' response, which was made public, again, never contacted me at all, was, oh, we did our investigation and her water use is normal. I've been told I have a leak. I have been told someone's stealing my water. I think I would notice a tanker truck in front of my house. That's what it would take. We do have a pool. I had my pool tested for leaks. Johnson Utilities sent a technician to our home. He spent over an hour at my house, and we checked every single water source at my house. Every sprinkler line, every drip line, every faucet, every toilet. The outcome, ma'am, you do not have a leak. August, 60,000 gallons again. And this, and quite honestly, this request for a rate hike is beyond comprehension to me. We moved out here 17 years ago. The same problems occur today that were occurring 17 years ago. And for Johnson Utilities to ask for a rate hike for a product that we cannot even safely use, and neighborhoods you can't drive through because of the smell, is unbelievable. I cannot believe it's even being considered. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll next hear from Antonio, and I'm going to try here. Ready? LaBranche?
LaBranche.
Okay. LaBranche, who will be followed by Chris Porter.
LaBranche, yeah. LaBranche. So that was my wife you heard back a few minutes ago with the high water bills. This is unheard of in any state. This is unheard of in any state because you don't get this kind of bill. I don't know what's going on. But I've been through all the processes, contacting you guys. I even talked to the Attorney General, Mr. Goodman. I had a meeting with him too, and he said, come to this meeting, maybe something will get done. So all we can do is hope that you guys do your job and take care of Johnson Utilities. Hold them accountable for what they're doing, not the people. But all you're doing is raising our bills all the time. And we live on a fixed income. We can't afford these bills to keep going up, or we'll be moving out too. And then you'll have a ghost town. So something's got to be done. I went to Channel 12, like this last lady said, and they did nothing for us either. So I went to Channel 15, and they called me back and says, well, we can't do nothing either. Johnson Utilities CEO got indicted, so they got a gag order. So I don't know what's going on here. If somebody's getting paid off to shut up or just sweep this under the rug. But something's got to be done. There's no hope for us. And you guys are responsible for these people here. We the people for the people. You never heard that speech? We the people for the people? Well, what are you doing for us? Nothing, except raising our bills. My wife was saying that meter, she showed you the pictures. That's an old-fashioned meter. You cannot read that digital. That's not a digital meter. That's something that's been in the ground for a long time, and we took pictures of that. I don't know what else we got to do. I mean, we had a plumber check for leaks, nothing leaking, the ground's not even wet. So where's all the water going? 30,000 gallons a month? There's no way to read the meter, and nobody in here can use 30,000 gallons a month. I don't care who you are. It's impossible, unless you own a golf course or something. So, all I gotta say is something's gotta be done, because I don't know what to say. Who else do you go to? You guys are supposed to be in charge? And you keep saying you're going to push it back. It's going to come. There's a court coming up. and nothing happens. So what gives Johnson Utilities the right to keep ripping people off, and you guys are in charge? You're the watchdogs. You're supposed to do something about it. And that's all we ask of. We get a fair shake here and get normal bills like any other state. Instead of us people moving out of here, then you have nothing. Then who's going to feed you in? It ain't going to be us. So somebody's got to step up to the plate here, and I hope it's one of you guys. Somebody has to. So if you want people to trust you, okay. If you want people to trust you, people, we got to trust you. And you got to trust us. I don't see it happening. That's all I got to say. And I hope you do something for us.
Thank you for being with us today. We'll next hear from Chris Porter, who will be followed by Neil Altmeyer.
My name is Chris Porter. I live at 2183 West Tanner Ranch Road, Santan Valley, 85142. I lived out here for 13 years. I first lived out at Copper Basin. Never had the same water bill 2 months in a row. I feel it's ironic when I go on vacation. I go on vacation for a month. That's the month the bill goes up. They tell me, hey, it's because your water's leaking, your irrigation. I said, no, the water's turned off. They said, something must be wrong. So I decided to move, and I had my house up for sale for 3 months. My water bill kept going up. I went in there and challenged them. Why is my bill going up? Well, you're using a lot of water. I said, no, ma'am, the water's turned off at the meter, and my bill keeps going up. And they said, well, it's got to be. I said, it can't be. My water's turned off. No one's turning my water on. I have a neighbor watching my house. No one's running the water. And they still said, well, there's nothing we can do. Finally, they lowered the bill down to what the bare minimum is. Even though I did nothing, I understand the law. The house I live in now currently, you don't get the same meter reading every month. I know they round up. You can't use the water. We have to buy bottled water because of the quality. The odors, it seems ironic. Somebody tried to buy out Johnson Utilities a couple years ago, Florence, and it was amazing. They had a sewer leakage, so they dropped it because of the investigation. Nothing else has come about. No one else has tried to take over them. If they do, there's a gag order. My neighbor, who was in the business, he challenged them. He got a gag order put against him. I'm praying that these people, us that talk today, since we know Johnson Utilities is in the building, recording everything, I hope we don't get gag orders placed against us because we can't fight. I feel the rates are going up this large amount because in court, that case was going to be, if it's overturned because he raised his rates to pay for his taxes, if you guys overturn that and lower it, we're still losing because you're raising it 23%. If it goes down that last rate that was low, he's still winning. So that makes our basic bill $100 without turning one drop of water on. That's a lot of money. I want a fixed income. I can't afford a $100 a month water bill without turning my water on to cook for my family. I think something needs to be done, and to think about us. I understand he's getting in trouble for doing things. I don't think we have to pay for his mistakes. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Do we have anybody here from the utilities staff? Is anybody here from the commission utility? No, I'm sorry, from the Corporation Commission Utility Department staff. Could we make sure that we have an organized part of the docket to organize all of the claims about water loss? I'd like to make sure that that's all tallied and organized from all of the testimony today and tomorrow. There's we seem to see a pattern in comments here. Okay. Neil Altmeyer, followed by Jessica Robbins.
My name, Neil Altmeyer, 1083 West Desert Seasons Drive, Valley 85143. My water bill is $60 a month, no complaints. I live alone. I'm a CPA retired, 10 years electric utility experience back in the 70s and 80s. Every electric utility I worked for had a department that handled high, low billing complaints. Generally speaking, high was a broken meter. Get it replaced. Low, broken meter, or they're out of town. What I've heard here today blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. Does Johnson Utilities have a high-low department to check all these problems? Please answer that question, somebody, at some time. CPA retired from HUD. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us. Jessica Robbins, followed by Cynthia Gordon. Okay, thank you. Cynthia Gordon, followed by Tim Ulrich.
Good morning. I just wanted to say that I am a snowbird. We've been here 9 years. And when we first got here, we did have a high usage bill. They did come out and check it, said the same thing. No problem with the meter, the whole thing. We paid the bill. We didn't want to go through anything else, and that was the only problem we had as far as high usage. When we come back in the fall, after being gone for the summer, when we turn on our water, there's a significant smell that comes out of the water. I live, 1173 West Mountain Peak Way in Solera, Johnson Ranch. The other problem we have is our water pressure. Usually what will happen is we get like a slight trickle of water for a while. So I think that's the other problem that we have. And as far as the rate increase, I can understand somewhat of an increase, but I think that what Johnson Utilities is asking for is a significant increase in water. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Tim Ulrich, followed by Frank Campbell.
My name is Tim Ulrich. I live at 23893 North Mojave Lane, Florence. Thank you for putting this on this morning. I don't feel like I should be complaining after hearing all of these other comments, but I will anyway. I don't really have a complaint about the bills. Mine have been pretty consistent, but I do have a complaint about the operations. As was mentioned before, the stink is unbelievable. Just driving down Hunt Highway, excuse me, past the ponds, past the clubhouse there, is almost, well, you have a hard time getting by. Now, I live a little ways away, fortunately, so I don't always smell that. But there are many times a month where I get that smell. And I don't think we should be granting or rewarding a company for their operations when they can't do it reliably. So, thank you.
Thank you. Frank Campbell, followed by Julie Phillips.
Good morning. My name is Frank Campbell. We live at 33941 North Wash U Road, Santan Valley, 85142. As the gentleman that just spoke, considering some of the complaints we've heard this morning, I don't have a big complaint. Give you a little background, I am a retired plumber pipe fitter, so don't talk to me about open sewer. I know what it smells like, believe me. The stink in the water, people need to realize that it's not the water that's being supplied. If it was, then everybody's water would have that same bad odor. That bad odor emanates from the infrastructure that's underground. Some sections will have bad water, others won't. That's because it's lousy piping down there. Mr. Johnson has failed to keep the infrastructure up to date. He put the system in, sat back, reaped the profits, and did not reinvest it into maintaining the infrastructure. Yet the volume increase and the rate increase has been phenomenal. We had 1 month where we had a 7,000 gallon spike. That's just the wife and myself. We don't use much water. I questioned where that 7,000 gallons went. They told me, well, you have a leak. Excuse me? I'm a plumber. I don't have a leak. There's a flow meter on that line. I know what I used. We've had a rate increase because of, as one gentleman said, Mr. Johnson wanted his taxes paid. Mr. Johnson, at the present time, is under federal indictment, and there is a gag order on that. We can't find out what's going on, what process is being done. He had influence in the Corporation Commission. Everybody knows that. That's public knowledge. Undoubtedly before most of you people were elected, and I don't hold you to blame for that. He has failed to maintain the infrastructure, and yet now he wants a rate increase to pay to rebuild the infrastructure. I'm sorry, spend some of his profit back. If I've got a business, I can't raise my prices to pay for something that I should have been maintaining. I need to build a new building. Do I raise everybody's rates? That's about it. They want an increase. Your water usage, the one other point is, like I say, it's just the wife and myself, and yet our water usage has gone up 40% in the last 2 years. How are we using more water? I don't know where it's going, but yet they're saying their meter says we're using more. That's a little bit high. Have a good day.
Thank you. Julie Phillips, who will be followed by Halstead Murray.
Hi, my name is Julie Phillips. I live at 4173 East Meadow Creek Way in the Castlegate community of Santan Valley. I seem to be an anomaly here today because I'm an Arizona native, and my father before me was an Arizona native. And if my father were alive today, I think that he would reflect back and think of George Johnson as a snake oil salesman. Arizona has a long history of bad players. I know some of you are old enough to know who I'm talking about, so I won't name names. But he's just the latest in a long line of problems that we've had in Arizona. And water is a big issue in Arizona. We're a desert. Water is a huge issue. It should be a top priority to have good, clean, safe water. Luckily, we live where we have Queen Creek, which used to be H2O water. But we do have Johnson Utilities for our sewers. And we pay $43.44 a month for sewer bill. More surprisingly than the cost of the sewer bill, which we've never paid a separate sewer bill, is the customer service. When we moved from one house to another, we actually just moved a block. They didn't turn our service off on the date I requested at our old residence. They kept billing us for service at our old residence. I produced my payment record. They still billed us for services at our old residence. I called to ask to talk to a supervisor. Their records did not reflect my payments. They were putting my payments to my new, the payments I was making to my new address to my old address, which was vacant at the time. They were sending my statements to the former resident of my new house. It was a huge mess for months. I was finally able to convince them by sending them my payment confirmations that they had sent me, because when you pay online, they say, thank you for your payment. If I had that, why didn't they have that? When we've gone on vacation in the past, upon arriving home, our house smelled so bad, we had to open it out, air it out for days just to get the odor out of our house. So the next time we went on vacations, we closed all the sewage drains, and lo and behold, when we came back the next time, no odor. There are times when our drains just flat out stink. I've been very disappointed with the lack of accountability by the Board of Supervisors, excluding Supervisor Goodman. I'm not surprised that my supervisor, Todd House, has been so lenient, having taken thousands of dollars in campaign contributions from George Johnson. I filed a report with the ACC and they did nothing. They told me Mr. Johnson is a private citizen and he can put whatever he wants in his mailings to us. Luckily, the people he supported in the last election lost. I have continually read the horror stories from residents who have JU water. I am thankful every day that we don't have their water service. Unfortunately, my grandchildren do. So I want you two older gentlemen to think how you would feel if you had to worry every day that your grandchildren had safe water to drink. There are times I've heard on the news that the water isn't safe, and I've called my son and my daughter-in-law just to make sure that they're not having my babies drink that water. Now, my son and daughter-in-law live in Santan Heights. We live in Castlegate. We have about the same size house. We pay $20 a month in the winter. We have a pool, they don't. They have xeriscape, we don't. We have grass. We have a garden, they don't. They pay on average $20 a month. The highest we've ever paid in the summer is $70 with our pool. So you tell me, what's the problem? I would just please beg you and implore you not to give them a rate increase, to make them fix their problems. We deserve nothing less from you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
I'll make sure these two older gentlemen hear that loud.
Okay, Halstead Murray, followed by Noah Haynes.
Halstead Murray, 4619 West Gold Mine Mountain Drive, Santan Valley, 85142. I've lived in, this is my third city in Arizona. I lived in Oro Valley, I lived in Mesa, and now I live here because I'm a camp follower. I follow my kids and the grandkids. This is, without a doubt, I spend in 1 month more than I did in multiple months in the other cities. I understand, and I didn't at the time when I moved here, that the other cities all had utilities that were run by other than private citizens. I didn't know that Johnson Utility was a privately owned, privately run business, and when I started seeing the bills, I know why I don't like private businesses running my utilities. Last summer, I had 2 bills that were astronomical. They were over $150 to $200. And I looked at the amount of water that I've used. I kept the bills for 6 months prior, and I looked at online at what I used the year before, and I couldn't understand it. And I get the usual, well, you've got a leak. This seems to be their script that they read off the minute they answer the phones. When I got the notification that they wanted to raise the bills, and I don't understand why I have to pay more for a privately run than I do for a government utility out of like Mesa Water. My son is in Queen Creek. He pays $30 a month. He's got a house that's 1.5 times as larger than me. He's got 3 people. I've got me and my wife. I don't know. I understand the CAGRD, CAGRD, that we have to pay, and why, okay. We have to pay so much for it. It's gone down, but my bill hasn't gone down. So I'd like somebody to figure out why a city that is next door to Queen Creek that pays $30 for more water than we use, we have to pay 3 times as much. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We'll next hear from Greg Booth, who will be followed by Valerie Olin.
You skip me. Noah Haynes.
Noah Haynes. Thank you, Mr. Haynes.
28742 North Thompson Road. I live about 2 miles back in the hills here. We've been on Johnson Utilities less than 2 years, and in the first year that we were on, we lost water more than 30 times. They told us we were at the end of their line, and obviously it wasn't a priority for them. After complaining to Johnson Utilities and the county supervisor, we got a Johnson rep that would come out, look at it, and we were told, like everyone else, that we had a leak somewhere. We live on acreage. No one's stealing my water. I know that. We've also had a problem with Johnson Utilities charging us for exactly 17,000 gallons, 20,000 gallons, even up to 40,000 gallons, which tells me they're obviously not reading it. No one cares. And then when they would finally come out and read it, they'd bill us for 3 months' worth. Every time the water came back on after being out, we'd have a mix of air and water for 2 days. It would spurt air and water for 2 days. Can't really take a shower in that stuff. I personally took a shower with the bottled water 3 or 4 times because we didn't have water. After losing water for 2 full days, we were told by a Johnson Utilities rep that that's how it was going to be. It wasn't going to get any better because we were out there. I personally bought and installed a 2,500-gallon water tank, a pressure tank, and a water pump so that I would have continuous water, so that when their water goes down, I still have 2,500 gallons. These people that live in the neighborhoods obviously can't do that. Another thing is the CAGRD fee. What's it for? The fee is always more than the cost of the water. I don't understand that. I believe it's CAP that's in charge of that fee. Is that right? Central Arizona Project? I don't even know who. I called and talked to someone months ago. They couldn't give me a straight answer as to what it was for replenishing the water. What are they doing to replenish the water? What's my money going for? No one can give me an answer for that. I live on land. I have a septic system. All my water goes back into the water table. Why am I paying that fee? I don't understand that either. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us. Greg Booth, followed by Valerie Olin.
My name is Greg Booth. I reside at 30 East Paso Fino Way, Santan Valley, 85143. I've lived in Santan Valley for almost 9 years now, but been a resident of Arizona for 43 years. I am born and raised. I'm not going to beat a dead horse here and repeat everything because I concur with everybody's statements and issues they've had. I wanted to give you guys a different perspective. I am the chairperson of the Landscape Committee for Johnson Ranch. And the reason they formed the committee was the water issues and our turf areas looking like crap. So we spent months dealing with Johnson Utilities, our landscape company, DLC at the time. We put water pressure test readers on many areas throughout the community. I didn't plan on speaking today, otherwise I would have brought the stuff. So I'm going to bring you guys those readings after this meeting, I will bring them and drop them off for you. The spikes are crazy when you look at it. The water system, irrigation system for Johnson Ranch was designed to hold runoff of 70 PSI, is what we were told from the builder and everybody else, and that's what was installed. The average pressure throughout the day was about 48 over a 3-month period. The spikes, it never reached 70. The high was maybe 58, and the lows were under 40. The representative from Johnson Utilities told us that there's no way we're going to get better pressure, and it cannot happen. They said that they are only required to provide 30 PSI. So how can you run a community system that's designed for 70 if they're only required 30 and not going to give you anything else? So now, as a committee, we are tasked and we are looking at having to revamp Johnson Ranch. And as homeowners, we're going to do we are going to upgrade, but you're talking a $6 million project that now we're going to incur because it all started with water issues. So I wanted to give you guys a different perspective, not as a homeowner, because I agree with all the other comments, but from what communities as a whole are dealing with as well from there.
Thank you. Okay, we'll next hear from Valerie Olin, who will be followed by Samantha Phillips. And could I say briefly, for this segment of our hearing, we have 45 minutes left. We've got about 10 folks who are signed up to speak. We'd love to give everyone that's here that would like to speak a chance to speak. If you'd like to speak, would you please fill out a card over here in the corner, and we would love to hear from you. Thank you. Okay, Ms. Olin.
Hi, I'm Valerie Olin, 2450 East Albine Road, Santan Valley. I've been here since 2004. The bill was pretty consistent until last summer, and it doubled. It's just me and 2 dogs. Nothing's really changed. Indigenous lawn. I called Johnson's Utilities, same as everybody else. You have a leak. Your toilet's leaking. I fix my toilets when they run. I'm pretty frugal, and I don't like to waste. So I fixed that. I had a plumber come out and check everything. There is no leak. The amount of water they say I'm using would be a pool. So I went to my neighbor that does have a pool and 7 people and grass. And she says her bill has never been over 130, which mine was for 2 months. I would see that water. So I filed a complaint with you guys and the Attorney General. Now my bill's kind of back down to normal. With all the complaints and nothing being done, I see that they have their rate increase because they're not giving back any more money to anybody else. They have their rate increase. I have 3 grown children, Mason and Gilbert. One has a pool. Their utility bills are nothing like ours. I have another home in Chandler. That utility bill is maybe $40 a month to $60, watering a lot of trees and plants. So I just think it's ridiculous, and we do need help. Somebody should stand up and help the community, or you will have a ghost town, and who's going to pay the bills then? There will be nobody to pay anything. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We'll next hear from Samantha Phillips, who will be followed by James Poole.
Hi, I'm Samantha Phillips. I live at 3076 West Carlos Lane, just a few blocks behind the school. My husband and I have owned our home since 2009, and we have seen a staggering rate increase in our bill, especially over the past few years. We now currently pay an average of 80, but like so many before me have said, it's different every month. We just never know. We don't have a pool. We don't have a lawn. We have desert landscape that doesn't require water. Our home is just over 2,000 square feet. There's no reason for us to be paying double and sometimes triple what we were paying in Mesa. The quality of this water is our major concern. We have 3 small children, and the water is undrinkable. We installed a water filtration system just to drink the water that we are being overcharged to use. It is disconcerting to raise a family and not be able to trust that the water is safe. I hope that this rate increase is not improved. I don't think it makes any sense to pay for a product that we can't trust, to pay for unreliable service for a company we can't trust. I don't feel that this is an improvement or a step in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We'll next hear from James Poole, who will be followed by Randy Cecil.
Good morning, gentlemen. My name is James Poole. I live at 147 East Piccolo Court, Piccolo Court, Santan Valley, 85143. And the reason I spell that is because you can't believe how people can destroy that name. But I've lived here since 2001. And I've had several bones of contention with this water company, and I'm not going to go into all of them. But if that water is not okay for an infant or a small child, it is absolutely not okay for my dog. And he does not drink that. I buy him bottled water. I'd buy him Perrier if that's what he wanted. But I buy him bottled water. And I will not let that dog drink that. He's only 21 pounds, and I've had enough vet bills. I don't need any more from a water company that can't produce drinkable water. But twice since I've lived out here, it's happened to me twice. I get my monthly bill, I look at it, and I go, wow, that looks familiar. That's the same amount as it was last month, to the penny. So I say, how does that happen? So I take it over to the office, and I said, how can I use exactly the same amount of water 1 month and the same amount of water the last month? That means I have to flush the same amount of toilets, let the water run while I'm brushing my teeth the same amount of time. And it's just amazing to think that that could happen. And that's happened twice. And they said, well, it's possible. Well, I guess if I believed in the Easter Bunny, I guess it would be possible. But I don't believe in the Easter Bunny. And I don't mail my bill in. I trust the U.S. mail about as much as I trust Johnson's Utilities. So I drive my car over there every month on the 25th, and I write them a check. Well, a few months back, I went over there and I wrote them a check. It was $60, $65. And I said, that seems awful low. No, that's what it says. That's what you have to pay. I said, okay, so I wrote them a check. And I left, took my receipt and left. And I'm not a guy that runs to the mailbox every day. Sometimes I don't go for 2 weeks. There's nothing in there but ads anyway, so I don't go. But not this time. I drove by the mailbox and I thought, I'm going to get the grocery ads. So I got the grocery ads, and here's a letter from Johnson's Utility. This is 3 days later. And I opened it up and it says, please contact us immediately. You owe us $80, and if you don't contact us, your service will be terminated. So I went, what? I went home, I got my bill, I got my receipt, I took it over there. Well, they said, there was a clerical error. We're not going to charge you a late fee, though. I said, well, that's mighty big of you. You weren't going to charge me a late fee for your mistake. So they got that all straightened out. But the two problems that I have with Johnson's Water is low water pressure and air in my lines. I would like somebody to tell me, what is the minimum amount of water going through that meter that trips it? Is it a mist? Is it a full line of water? Is it air? I don't want to be paying for air. And I've asked them several times to come and check it. Well, yeah, they come and check it late in the morning or the afternoon. Well, by then, you know, you use water, and it pulls the air out of the system and comes into the house. So they always check it outside. So I still don't have that answer of what's the minimum amount of water going through that meter that trips it. And I haven't had anybody be able to answer that for me. And that's all I have to say. I don't believe they deserve an increase, not with the shenanigans that have been going on. But gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we'll next hear from Randy Cecil, who will be followed by Emily Kirkland.
Hi, I'm Randy Cecil. I know I don't look like a Randy, but I am. I'm an Arizona native, born and raised. I've lived in the Valley all my life. I've lived in Phoenix, Mesa, Tempe, Ahwatukee, and now Santan Valley. When I first moved to Santan Valley and I got my bill, it said 29,000 gallons. The next month was 27,000 gallons. So I called Johnson Water, and they said, well, it would need a new meter, or my neighbor was stealing my water. Well, I live on the corner, so the street didn't get it, and the other neighbor is always in the Philippines, so that wasn't possible. What the technician did come out and say was that I needed a new meter, and that if there was nothing wrong with the meter, that they would charge me $25. So, of course, they said it would take about 3 months for that to happen. So I went ahead and agreed to have a new meter put in, a digital meter. So I would suggest pay the $25, get a new meter. What happened is my rate has gone down, believe it or not, from 29,000, and I moved in June of 2013, went from 29,000 to 27,000, had a new meter put in. They said there's nothing wrong with your meter, so I paid the $25. Now, every summer, okay, about June, July, I get a bill for 19,000 gallons, 15,000 gallons, and I made a copy of the one that I have now. But now I'm using an average of 3,000 gallons a month, okay? And I also have a Phoenix water bill, and my average, I live by myself, I'm senior, and so I don't have anybody living with me. I have desert landscape, I don't have a swimming pool. 29,000 gallons would fill a swimming pool, twice. And my water bill in Phoenix, the base use was $4.73, and here in Johnson Ranch, it's $16.90. Taxes for city taxes were 85 cents. Water privilege taxes in Johnson Ranch is $1.49. Sewer in Phoenix, which they cover everything, was $20.89. Johnson Ranch is charging $40.98, plus I guess the other fee, which we all didn't understand, which I finally found out, this last month was $12.57. And what that is to put the water back in the ground, is what I understand that's for. The technician, the main thing I wanted to say is the technician told me that I should go to work for Johnson Water because all of the employees get their bill if they live in Johnson Ranch community or in the Johnson Ranch utility area, they get their water for free. So I think I'm going to leave this with you, and I just don't think they deserve to have a rate increase. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Emily Kirkland is next, followed by William Denzire. Oh, I hope that's right, William. Okay, Emily.
Hi, my name is Emily Kirkland. I'm the co-director of an organization called Progress Now Arizona. And my comments, to be honest, are directed just as much at all of you here in the room as they are at the commissioners. I'm up here at the front of the room because I really want to highlight the folks who have mentioned the pattern of campaign contributions and the fact that George Johnson, the owner of Johnson Utilities, will be facing trial at the beginning of May as part of an alleged bribery scheme. And I think it's really important that everyone understand what's really been happening behind the scenes here, and be able to connect the dots for themselves. So I would urge you to check out the website that we're launching today called azwatergate.org. The website that we're launching today called azwatergate.org, or to join us outside here at 10:15 for the press conference where we'll be launching this campaign. And I just think all of us need to be working together to hold our elected officials accountable and to demand better, because the situation here with water is absolutely unacceptable, and we need to be standing up and saying so. Thanks.
Thank you. We'll next hear from William D. Kaiser. Thank you, William. Who will be followed by Penny Pugh.
All right. William DeKaiser. I live at 23240 North High Dunes Drive.
You need to talk into the microphone and
Yeah.
Talk right into the mic.
I live at 23240 North High Dunes Drive in Oasis of Magic Ranch. Good morning. Arizona Department of Quality, Environmental Quality, and the Arizona Corporate Commission and fellow citizens.
Would you move a little closer to the mic, please?
Yeah, we'll work on that. All right, we're a nation of immigrants. We're founded with principles and values, rules, are we not? I retired and moved here in July of 2015. I love the dry heat, the sunny weather. Spending 36 years in the greater Seattle Everett area, I worked outside mostly in all the cities I operated out of, and I worked for telecommunications. Everett has over 100,000 people with a lagoon style of treatment plant. You never smell it. But I digress. I moved here, I put in a pool. It's chilly at the time of the year it finished, so I put in a hot tub. I sit down at the bottom of the 3rd and 12th fairways on Oasis of Magic Ranch golf course. I watch the sunset each night. This is until the sprinklers come on each night, for about 6 p.m. or so, when it was the roll of the dice. Is it a urine smell or a fecal smell? And tonight, how can I enjoy the pleasure of being outside? I barbecue out and eat outside, and you got to be careful because the flies will carry your food away. Mind you, I'm on the farthest side of Oasis of Magic Ranch, away from the lagoon. But we continue to have, and especially the last, I'd say 6 months, even a year ago, a heavy odor in the watering that he puts on the golf course. So it's that fine recycled water. The rule of thumb is 0.003 parts per million of hydrogen sulfide for sustained time, or about 3 events or episodes per 1 hour period. That is a measurable standard that is passed down to the county level to perform, and they have no teeth but to come out to an understanding with the culprit of said company for enforcement. Then there's the ADQ, the ACC, to see that this said company is performing and adhering to the proper standards of compliance. But here's where we are now, and the public is demanding you do your jobs. We are at a public health emergency on noxious gases, undrinkable water, and overcharging for what we can't use. When I arrived, I had some health issues which required me to travel the Mesa area on a weekly basis. I would travel down Hunt Highway and pass by Mirage Avenue by the Sunset Sewage Uplift. Look out, the odor, and I'll make it shorter. I go down Gansville, Ironwood, and catch the Pecan Creek mechanical plant there and smell it coming back when I return by the Sandton Heights mechanical plant. And you can't fight a private company, but the county and state can. This company cannot be allowed to poison the communities that it operates in, or can it? We have nothing we have no way to clean up the mess, but which you have allowed. Who is culpable? Who has suffered the most? We are the ones he is making sick, and more each day are coming out saying this. I've lived around the world as a service brat, and I've never smelled it like we have anywhere in the country, let alone traveled throughout Phoenix, and you don't smell it. Here we smell it. But we do have a mechanical plant just down the road by Anthem called by, Del Webb. That is in state compliance when it was built, and you don't smell that. I guess I'm finished here. We demand you do something about his transgressions, and after all, we are a country of rules and laws for a reason. Stop the good old cowboy attitude has prevailed and look the other way. And I'd rather not see him increase our rate we pay. Thank you.
Good morning. Penny Pugh with Congressman Gosar's office. I'm a fifth-generation Arizonan, so I have some history on water and out here in the East Valley. I'm not coming from a resident of Santan Valley, which I am, but I'm coming here because I want the public to know that we appreciate them contacting our office. Although it's not a federal issue, we have received over 1,000 emails in the last probably year and a half, which I hope we've responded to all of them with the help of Chairman Faris, working closely with him on a response from the commission. We appreciate the community continuing to reach out to us and the congressman. We don't have a whole lot of teeth in this game, but we like to hear what our community thinks, and we'll work with whatever we can do to help resolve the situation. And thank you for coming out, and thanks to Supervisor Goodman for taking this to task.
Thank you, Penny, and a special thank you to Congressman Gosar. Jeff Robbins, who will be followed by Vicki Jean Howard.
Good morning. My name is Jeff Robbins. I live at 33304 North Roadrunner Lane. Thank you so much for coming out today. I think my only question is, why did it take so long? It feels like we've been dealing with problems down here for a very long time, and we've needed help, and we are very glad you're here to hear us. I used to serve on my HOA board, and we had to deal a lot with Johnson Utilities. And several years back, we had raw sewage dumped into our lakes, which feed all of the irrigation throughout our HOA. And it was done by Johnson Utilities. And here's the feeling we had on the board was, what do we do? Do we take them? Do we have a lawsuit? What do we do to get repercussion for the damage that was caused to the lakes? And we had a serious debate about it because we were afraid, because we know it's a thug culture. If we do anything against them, they're going to retaliate, and we're going to have to deal with this for years. So what do we do? And we decided finally to take them to court. It was, I can't go into too much of the details. I don't know how much of it's open, how much I can say, but we won the lawsuit, and then a few years later, they did it again. They dumped raw sewage back into the lakes, and we had this continual problem. And this is the kind of stuff that happens here, and we are concerned about it. It is a problem for our community. And I think what you're hearing, you're going to hear a lot more from the rest of your sessions, is that the people here, we can't keep living like this. And it's not just about the rate increase. I think that's something we all oppose, but let's be honest, what's going to happen next year? They're going to come back and say, well, we can't make any of the infrastructure upgrades. We can't do anything unless you give us a rate increase. How can we make it better for these people? What we need here is the highest level of regulatory oversight that you can provide as a commission. This state is one of the only 14 other states that has a commission, that is elected by the people. And we elect you because we want you to represent us and to protect us. And we need protection now. The problem is more than a rate increase. It is a thug culture that needs to end. And the only way to do that is to have the people who basically oversee a monopoly, which we allow because that's the way an infrastructure system like a water company needs to run, is to have a group of oversight people who can come in and to make sure that they're not taking advantage of that monopoly. So we need you here to step in and to help us as a community. We are in need here. We don't have a city down here in Santan to speak for us, so you speak for us. And we are relying on you. And again, thank you for coming down, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, we'll next hear from Vicki Jean Howard, who will be followed by Philip Temple. Philip is the last name that I have. If there's anyone that would still like to speak, we've got 20 more minutes. Would you please fill out a form and let us know? Vicki Jean.
Thank you. I was not I was not intending to speak when I came here this morning, but with time, I decided to go ahead and speak up. Like Mr. Robbins, I'm grateful that you're finally here to listen to us, and hopefully we'll provide the protection we desperately need out here. I am a native here in Arizona. I've lived in Mesa. I was born in Lakeside, lived in Mesa most of my life, and in 2008, moved out here. When I was told that I was in the Johnson Utility Service area, I thought, okay, no problem. I've lived in Arizona all my life. We've never had issues. I've lived in a desert, great, not a big deal. Boy, was I wrong. As I've lived out here, I've been through 2 delayed notification E. coli issues, but thankfully we had the foresight to put in an RO unit in our home and didn't actually have the scare that most people had with their water. And we also have stored up some water. I've also dealt with billing issues where random high bills, told I had a leak, decided to wait it out because I knew I didn't, and the next month it went back down to normal. So it must be a self-healing leak. And I've had that happen a couple of times. But speaking to something different than others have spoken to, when we first moved out here, and like many, you have to provide a set amount of money to Johnson Utilities to have your water hooked up. And if you're a good payer, after a year, you get your money back. No problem. Great credit, never had a problem, pay my money, paid every month. Mailed it in every month. Well, it comes up to the year mark, and my check doesn't get cashed. So I go in and say, all right, well, I noticed my check didn't get cashed. Want to pay? Okay, so I write out the check, pay them right there, and I let them know I'm going to put a stop payment on my other check. I've paid you. So I go and put a stop payment on my check at the bank. About a week later, the magic missing check is found. They cash it. It doesn't go through. So now it's a bounced check. I now have to pay a bounce check fee to them because my check bounced. Not only that, I'm no longer allowed to pay via check because I'm considered a bad payer. So, yeah, that happened a year after we moved in. So I then set everything up on auto pay and have not had that issue anymore of being a bad payer. But everything else, random bills go high, they go low, you have a leak, you must fill your pool up every month, which doesn't happen, but all of that. I also have a rental property in the H2O district, which is now Queen Creek, but even when it was under H2O, the bills on that, again, private utility to private utility, were significantly less what I paid for water at that property, for the rental property when we were cleaning it up, than I did out here. So I understand that private utilities have fees. I understand we're out here in Santan Valley. I understand CAGRD. I get all of that. But private utility to private utility, within a few miles of each other, it should not be that significantly different. I also understand that the lines need improvement, and that's part of why they're asking for the rate increase. I get that. However, what have they been doing with the money this whole time? They've been out here for years and years and haven't repaired it up to this point. And we're supposed to think as ratepayers, or as payers, that if they get a rate increase, it's magically going to happen this time. That is our concern, and we appreciate you guys looking into this thoroughly, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, we'll next hear from Philip Temple. Philip Temple is our last scheduled speaker. If there's anyone else that would like to speak, please fill out a form. Mr. Temple.
Morning, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Philip Temple. I'm a 100% disabled vet. My wife is a nurse who's also 100% disabled. She's also allergic to sulfa, and as we know from the wastewater treatment plant at Johnson Utilities, my wife, when the hydrogen sulfide is thick outside, she takes our service dogs out back. She starts coughing, she throws up, and the next thing I'm picking her up off the ground because she's allergic to that sulfa, and that's how it affects her. You know, we never really had a lot of that happening when we first moved here. We're going on our 6th year. And gentlemen, we're talking about wastewater treatment plants. I served in Germany in 1968. Everybody says, well, so what? Well, that's just 22 years after World War II and all the reconstruction and building in Germany started. And I spent 3 years there, and we didn't have a problem with clean water and tasty water that didn't hurt people when they drank it. In 1971, I spent 3 years in the Republic of Korea. And in 1971, that was only 18 years after the end of the Korean War. And so, you know, they had clean drinking water. What is wrong with the United States in our area in becoming and getting clean water? I mean, we've had nitrates warnings off and on. We've lived here 6 years, and these kids are the one that's going to suffer. We have kids playing out in the playgrounds in our community areas that are affected by all this water that's being dumped on that is really technically not usable water. And it really upsets me. And like I said, I have service dogs. I have to buy water from my service dog because they are the ones that help keep me with my disability. I have spinal injuries. My legs go out. I need them to get up in case I fall down. And, you know, I should have one here today because sometimes I tend to lose it. But, you know, I appreciate you guys holding this meeting. And with all this, where has the money gone? What is the increase going to do? And where I've heard over the last few years from the newspapers and things of this nature, well, when George Johnson went to court the first time, the $1.1 million he got was because, oh, we haven't been charging the people enough for the CAGRD fee. Oh, okay. And then all of a sudden, amazingly, it went down. Then they said on this indictment, and again, they came out and put out publicly in the newspaper, so it really, I don't know, nobody got sued over that. But they said Johnson needed $4.1 million for this upcoming lawsuit. And it's amazing, says, because these raises that he's requesting would get $4.1 million. And the people still don't get clean water. You know, we got to do something because people's going to start dying. And I got news for you. Elected officials are going to have to answer why. And I got news for you. I'll be on the doorstep knocking because as an American citizen, as a United States Army retired soldier, I'm not going to let it go, gentlemen. I'm not going to let it go. There is no cause for any of this. We are supposed to be a civilized country. And between 18 years and 22 years, we ought to be able to get a livable, a drinkable, and clean water in all our neighborhoods and all our country. There's no excuse for not wise. Look at Puerto Rico, hit with a hurricane. Oh, well, Puerto Rico's just about fixed up now and got clean drinking water. Yeah. All these hurricanes that hit all these other states, and they got clean drinking water again. But we can't even get it here in how many years? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else that would like to speak that hasn't had a chance to speak? Okay, would you please come up and fill out a form, and we've got another 15 minutes in this segment, so I want to make sure if there is anyone that would still like to speak that you have a chance to do so.
Hi, I'd like to thank all of you for being here.
Okay, would you please introduce yourself?
Yes.
Carla Hartzell, and
Yes.
say your address, please.
My name is Carla Hartzell. I live at 4000 West Federal Way, Santan Valley. I personally do not have any issues, but I came here in support of all of you that do. I just want to remind you, and I thank the commission for this opportunity. We started this meeting with a pledge and a prayer. We're hoping to have your pledge to resolve all these issues, to get to the truth of it, and we absolutely pray that we all find some redemption and are no longer held hostage to this type of treatment. Unfortunately, we are living in a time where people are not settling anymore. I thank you all for listening to me. And please know I back everything you guys do, and there's a lot of people in this development that couldn't be here today that probably will not be at these meetings, but you're going to hear from them in one way or another. So thank you all, and be sure to take all our names and all our pictures.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else that would like a chance to speak today? Okay. Seeing that we've given everybody in the room a chance to speak, we'll conclude this segment of our meeting. We'll be back today from noon to 2 p.m. And we welcome you to join us then as well. Thank you very much.
Gentlemen, for coming today.